Howdy, it's Jim Morado. We are heading to the Paris, Kentucky Drive-In Theater. It's the Bourbon Drive-In Theater. Yeah, the Bourbon Drive-In Theater in Paris, Kentucky. And just a quick mention of why we are here. As you know, it's early October 2020. We still got COVID going on. And I was looking at the regular movie schedules, like the movie theaters. I know most of them are closing up. And I was just curious as to what they were showing. And I found that one movie theater was showing Friday the 13th. The original Friday the 13th. And I thought, man, that would be cool. I'd really like to go check that out. So I told my wife I'd love to go see Friday the 13th at the movie theater. And she, especially right now, is not really big on going out to a place like a movie theater. So she started Googling around, and she found that the Bourbon Drive-In was showing A Nightmare on Elm Street and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre on this particular night. So I thought, that sounds pretty cool. That kind of trumps Friday the 13th. And I love all of those movies, but the thought of getting to see the Texas Chainsaw Massacre at a drive-in was just way too appealing. So I was pretty excited that she found this. I just thought that was great. So we drove to Paris right after work on this particular Friday night. Friday evening, it was still kind of early. The movie started showing, I think, around 7:45. We got there a good hour, and maybe even an hour and a half early. We drove to Paris. I'm not real familiar with Paris. It looks like a nice little city, and I'm going to have to go there and check it out a little more thoroughly, just because it looks nice. Yeah, I noticed they have a lot of the standard fast food places. They have Arby's, McDonald's, Subway, and Subway's kind of become my standard go-to here lately in a rush. But we grabbed some grub and we headed out to the Bourbon Theater. This is us in line. It's actually a short line, and this is kind of on a little community road. You see some other cars kind of going around the line to get into the drive-in. And the line moved good enough. It wasn't a very long line. They were only selling, I think they advertised that they were only selling 50% of capacity tickets. And when we got there, the lady selling us our tickets explained to us that usually I think you park one person beside each pole. So you'll have two posts, the poles. So you'll have two cars, in between the two poles. So one car will have a pole on its left, the other car will have one on its right. I know at other drive-in theaters this can seem a little crowded. So what they were telling people to do was to park in between the two poles. So that kind of kept the cars a good distance away from each other. You were, roughly, I think they were estimating 6 feet away from each car. And that worked out really well. I liked that. It felt like we had plenty of space. Everybody was still friendly. People were wearing their masks to the concession stand and all that. So it was a good way to go out and see a movie, but not feel like, you're sitting in a chair somebody else might have just sat in, and you still had the distance. So that was really good. And I appreciated that. I love Halloween also, by the way. This is my favorite holiday. In my world, I've usually gone Halloween, Christmas, and baseball season. That's kind of how my life goes. I'm not as big into baseball as I used to be, but so you've kind of got summer, Halloween, and Christmas. That's kind of how I look at things. That's just me, though. But yeah, so we're coming up to buy our tickets here. I'll stop talking when we get to the front and actually buy our tickets, just so you can kind of hear the ground rules. But this drive-in theater, is ran by obviously a family, and I think I read on their website this place has been going since 1956. And it's basically been in the same family the whole time, if I read correctly. So there's some crazy tradition going on. I love that. I love the fact that you've got the same little family doing this that started it. And these were some nice people, just from talking to the lady who sold us our tickets, talking to the people at the concession stands, and hearing their announcements before each movie. You can just tell these are nice people that appreciate your business. They thanked us multiple times for coming out and asked us to please come back again, and I'm sure we will. Just because this is just really special. This is really nice. I like what they're doing, and we had a really good time. I did read on their website, they kind of mentioned, please don't bring in outside food. Please buy food from the concession stand, because with their ticket prices, most of that money goes back to Hollywood. So that the only way they really make their profits is from concession sales. And I thought that was, humble of them to admit that, and very nice of them to kind of say, hey, please come here and buy food from us, because it kind of helps keep the place going. So that, anyway, these just seem like good people, as you'll see here in a little bit. As we bought our ticket, they actually gave us a garbage bag and explained to us, put your garbage in the garbage bag, tie it up, set it beside your car, and we'll come and get it after you leave. And that's a great way to do stuff right now, especially. Yeah, I appreciated the efficiency of this place. I appreciated what they were doing. It's a nice rural, small drive-in. I've only been to the drive-ins a few times in my life. There was the one in Rio, Indiana, across the bridge from Owensboro when I was growing up. I went there a few times. My wife and I went to a bigger drive-in theater in Illinois near St. Louis. Probably, it's been a few years ago. I mentioned that. I put that on my blog at kentuckytravels.blogspot.com. We had a great time. But that drive-in theater was huge. They had a couple screens at least, and it was a much bigger operation than this. They do have a sign up here, you'll see it in a moment, telling you to turn your radio to, I think, radio station 88.3, and that's how you pick up the movie. And we had a little trouble with our radio. But they had announced before the movie, if you have trouble with your radio, come and see us and we'll help you out. So my wife went to the concession stand. They actually let us borrow one of their radios. They asked for a $10 deposit and your driver's license. And my wife didn't have that on her at the time. She didn't take her purse with her. So she just kind of was like, you know what, never mind, we'll be fine. And they said, no, we don't want you to have a bad time. Just give us your name and phone number. That'll be good enough. And I thought that was really sweet of them. So, my wife could have obviously given them a fake name and phone number. She didn't, of course. But, these are just really sweet little people wanting to make sure you have a good experience. And I just have a whole lot of admiration for them. And I like what they're doing, and I'm excited to get back here. And I just thought I would film a little bit of us going into the drive-in, coming out. Obviously, I'm not going to film the movie for copyright reasons. And because that's wrong. But I did just want to let you see what the experience is like a little bit. So, I thought I would just have my camera rolling as we go in, as we go out, and maybe a little bit in between. Obviously you're not going to be watching the Texas Chainsaw Massacre with me. Even though that's fun, if you ever want to come over and watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre with me, I got a DVD of it, and I love watching that movie. Anyway, I'm going to shut up now so you can hear us buy our tickets.
This is...
Yeah.
16, and have you all been here this year?
We've not been here before at all.
Okay, so parking, I need you to park in the center of the two posts. Right in the center. The bag is for your snacks, your trash. Just put your trash in there, tie it up, sit it by your vehicle. We'll pick it up later.
Okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
And restrooms are open just in case.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Women's on this side, men on off.
Okay.
Thank you. And how wonderful was she? That was great, and I just liked that. It was quick. It was simple. They were just taking cash for the tickets, but it was $8 each to go in. So, $8 for 2 movies. You're pretty much, that's your entertainment for the whole evening. I thought that was a pretty good deal. I was pretty happy about that. And as you can see right there in front of us, that's the concession area, and you get a pretty good sense right now of just how big or how small the whole place is. There's the screen. It does kind of back up. The road is behind that tree line, but that tree line helped keep a lot of the lights out and away. I did want to say, I mentioned that we turned on, we had a little portable radio we brought with us. My wife bought it at Best Buy for $20, I think, and it did not pick up the movie at all. It was pretty bad, actually. We saved our receipt. We took it back to Best Buy, but we rolled our windows down, and they had a speaker going. So really, if you didn't have your radio, you could still hear the movie. You had to focus. You had to, you kind of had to be quiet and listen really closely, but you could still hear it. So that wasn't bad. But then, like I said, my wife, they announced before the movies if you had trouble to come and let them know. They also announced that they had jumper cables if your car battery died. I thought that was really nice. I never want to use my car radio in a situation like this because I know I'll just kill my car. Just kill the battery. So, and there was a good crowd here. It wasn't full, but there were a lot of people, and it was a good crowd. Nobody got too rowdy. Everybody was pleasant. We didn't talk to the people beside us, but we gave them the old Kentucky head nod and all that. So, yeah, and like I said, I love Halloween. I love scary movies. And, probably some more stories for another day. But I've personally visited filming locations for the first 2 Friday the 13th movies, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I know we've been to some other filming locations, but I love that sort of thing. Just a little quick shot of the concession stand there. They've got bathrooms up there. It's very minimal, but it's very clean. It was very nice. And you can feel pretty, I think you can feel pretty safe, grabbing a snack from there. Yeah, and Friday the 13th especially was a movie that I loved. I look at that sky, by the way. I just think it's an attractive sky. I remember when I was a kid, back in the day, when you would rent VCRs and rent videos. And, if you're in your 40s, you might have those kind of memories. There was a time when a VCR was a really big deal. By the way, check out that sky again. And I remember being about 8 or 9, and my buddy Aaron, my next door neighbor Aaron, for his birthday, his parents rented a VCR, and they were going to rent some movies. He called me and invited me to his birthday party. And I said, Mom, can I go to Aaron's? And it was an overnight thing. They're going to rent a VCR. Can I do this? And my mom says, well, what movies are they watching? So I asked him, and one of the movies he said was Friday the 13th. They said Indiana Jones, Star Wars, and Friday the 13th. And I looked at my mom and I said, they're showing Star Wars and Indiana Jones. I knew if I said Friday the 13th, she wouldn't let me go. So she let me go, which was great. We had a great time. And Friday the 13th was just so mind-blowingly scary. I mean, when he comes out of the water at the end of that movie, man, that just messed me up. And I had nightmares for weeks. And I have enjoyed having nightmares ever since. I like being scared. I like being scared a lot. And Friday the 13th started it for me. And growing up in Owensboro, it seems like I saw all of the the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I think I saw all of those in the theaters. I remember seeing one of them at the, I think it's the Theater Workshop now, and it used to be Goldie's Opry House back when that was still a movie theater. I remember seeing at least one of them there. I remember going with my late cousin and his late dad, my late uncle, to see one of them. I remember me and a couple of buddies from middle school talking one of their dads into taking us. We pitched in and paid for his ticket because we were under 16 or however old you had to be back then. But that was just a blast. That was a real. You just had to go see the Freddy movies. You had to go see those in the theaters. And just real quick, here's some of the kind of ad stuff they were playing before the movie. Just so you can listen, I'm going to let you listen to the announcements they make before the movie.
Appreciate you coming out. Now, next weekend, that's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And you see how dark it's getting out here, so if we open up the gates at 6 or as needed, that movie can start probably around 7:40, I would think. It was 7:45 this week, so it's really getting dark. We have Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas, and we're bringing back Hocus Pocus by popular demand. Next weekend, we do not know, so just check our website at bourbondrivein.com or call the drive-in number, and as always, we will keep you posted on what's going on. But anyway, it's been a fun year with all these old movies, and most of them are at least 40 years old, it seems like. We appreciate your support and coming out and seeing us during these trying times. It means a lot to us. So when you leave, turn those lights on, beware of those around you, and drive home safely, stay safe, and we hope to see you next weekend with a little bit more family flair. So, and then we'll come back with some more of this scary stuff. But anyway, well, let's get it going, and as always, check your lights. If you have any trouble with dead battery, we have a jump box. Any other issues, please come and see us, and we will take care of it for you as best we can. Thank you so much.
The film which you are about to see is an account of...
Yeah, I had to leave a couple seconds of John Larroquette doing his intro there. That's just too classic. How sweet was that, though, the little between-movie intro. They got jumper cables. They'll take care of you. They say thank you. And I love her accent. You know, as someone who moved north for a while and lost some of my accent, I always love hearing a good, natural accent like that. But that's just... I thought that was so sweet, and it really made me think. I'm glad to patronize this place, and I look forward to doing more of it. But we just watched a crystal clear, perfect copy of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I forgot how, I watched the Texas Chainsaw Massacre on VHS so much, I thought it was just kind of a blurry movie anyway. But yeah, they had a great copy of it. It was, it was just fun watching it. That is one scary movie. That's another movie that just scared the cruddy out of me when I was younger and messed me up. The supernatural stuff doesn't scare me at all. A crazy guy with a chainsaw chasing you through the woods, that scares me. Again, growing up in rural western Kentucky, that's scary stuff to me. I asked my wife, though, after we saw these two movies, and she's seen them before, you know, with me around and all, but I asked her who did she think was scarier, Freddy or Leatherface? And she said, forget both of them, it's the Hitchhiker. And I remembered, yes, the Hitchhiker, played by Edwin Neal. That is the scariest dude in any of these movies. And, his performance is just brilliant. Of course, with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, after you watch it, you feel like you should take a shower and go to church. It's a bit brutal. But if you watch it closely, they actually don't use a whole lot of blood. Most of the violence is implied, and most of their scare sequences really don't show you what's going on. They kind of let you sort that out in your mind, and I think that's kind of the power of this movie. And just as a side note, on our first trip to Texas, we were driving around Hill Country, and we went to, I believe it's Kingsland, Texas, and that is where the house that you see in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is there, and they actually now use it as a restaurant. So we stopped there. It's kind of a nice restaurant too. It's a really nice restaurant. We stopped there and had dinner one night, and that was just a big thrill to me. So that's just a good scary movie that still holds up well. And there have been remakes and sequels, but the original is just it's good scary stuff to watch this time of the year. You know, it's funny too, we had some friends over about a Halloween or two ago, and I have all sorts of classic horror movie DVDs. Everybody decided they wanted to watch Dracula, which, don't get me wrong, classic horror, that's good stuff. But if you've been spoon-fed on Star Wars all of your life, and you're used to scenes changing about every 3 seconds, it's hard to watch, one of the old classic black and white horror movies. But something like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre to me still holds up. Anyway, I hope I will see you at the Paris, Kentucky Bourbon Drive-In. Just thought I would let you know what my experience was like, and this is us heading home.